Welcome. Today we're going into some really quite unsettling territory. We're moving past fiction, talking about four genuinely chilling accounts, real stories of menace, invasion, stalking, shared by people online who say this happened to them. And just to be clear, this deep dive isn't about why these things happen. We're here to narrate these experiences, focusing on the terrifying details that, well, show how quickly normal life can just unravel.
Absolutely. These are accounts claimed as firsthand experiences.
Right. Sourced from places like Reddit, where people share these deeply personal, often traumatic events.
And with these kinds of stories, it's often the very specific details, the small things, that really hit home. They suggest it wasn't just random bad luck.
Exactly. Intentional. Predatory.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our first story. We're calling it the ambush plot. And it features a character described in this really vivid, disturbing way. The Pink Lady. Okay, so the setting. It's a state park. Secluded, lots of trees, near a river, middle of the day, maybe 1 p.m. The narrator is an 18-year-old guy, and he's walking his dog, a very large Alsatian. Big dog. But even so, he feels uneasy as he gets near the steep, kind of narrow path. He hears voices first, then he rounds a corner and sees them. There's a woman sitting on the ground. And further down the slope towards the river, there's an older man, balding, with a bike tipped over next to him.
Looks like maybe he fell. An accident.
Yeah, that's the initial impression, staged almost. But then there's the woman. Her description is just jarring. She's wearing a bright pink blazer, camouflage trousers, and big hunting boots.
Oh, okay. That's quite a combination.
Yeah. The narrator immediately thought of Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter, that kind of unsettling, composed vibe. And as this young guy and his big dog get closer, she looks up, gives this weird knowing smile, and says to the man, "Someone's coming."
Gentlemen.
And right then, his Alsatian, this big, tough dog, starts whining, crying even.
The dog sensed it immediately. Animals often do.
So the narrator, he just walks past, tries to push it down. Maybe the guy really is hurt. Maybe she's just awkward. But his gut feeling, it's screaming that something is wrong. He can't shake it. So he decides to go back. But smartly, he doesn't go back the same way. He takes a parallel path higher up that overlooks the trail down by the river. And that's when he sees it. He looks down. And the Pink Lady, she's stopped two little kids, boys, maybe 12 years old, tops. She's telling them the man is stuck, needs help. But before the boys can go down, the narrator watches the supposedly injured man get up, move his bike to an even steeper, more dangerous spot.
Oh, no.
And then lie right back down again, faking the injury, making the trap look even more convincing for these kids.
So it was absolutely a lure, premeditated. They adjusted the plan when the original the narrator and his dog seemed too risky.
Right. So the narrator, now properly terrified, loops back around to the main path. He needs to, confront them, warn someone. As he gets closer, he hears them arguing. The man's voice, angry. "Now where are we meant to go? If you weren't such a spooky bitch, those boys would have come down."
Spooky bitch.
Yeah, wow. And then the Pink Lady's reply, this is the bit that really chills you. She says, "You were the one that said we couldn't tackle that big guy."
Tackle that big guy, meaning the narrator.
Exactly. It wasn't just about luring the kids. They had a plan B, a violent one, if he'd intervened directly. He said the man shot him this absolutely filthy look as he hurried past, and the woman just gave him this horrible yellow toothy grin. He got out of there fast and reported it.
That phrase, tackle that big guy, implies a readiness for physical confrontation, possibly serious violence. It wasn't just a trick. It was potentially an ambush prepared for multiple scenarios.
And thankfully, the two boys had also felt something was wrong. They'd already reported the pair to a park official just moments before the narrator got there. The official had called the police.
Good on those kids for trusting their instincts.
Yeah, and the narrator adds this one final detail, maybe related, maybe not, but a body was found in that same area 2 years earlier.
Which just validates that sense of profound danger he felt. Utterly terrifying.
So from that kind of calculated outdoor threat, we shift now. We move inside, into the place you're meant to feel the safest, your home. This story is about the persistent intruder.
And this one is different. It's not about a single encounter, but years of, psychological warfare, focused on intensely personal things.
It starts with a family, husband, son, and the narrator, who describes herself as goth. They'd waited 10 years for government housing, so they were thrilled to move in. But the strangeness began about 7 years ago. Small things at first, like the power being switched off at the mains, multiple times a night, for months.
Annoying, disruptive, but maybe explainable at first.
Maybe. But then, things started disappearing. Very specific things. 2 items of clothing, a really distinct gray and black striped t-shirt, unusual shape, and a hand-embroidered raspberry red dress. They vanished. 2 years later, they reappear. Just laid out, together, on their bed.
Okay, that's not random. Returning items like that years later, placed intimately on the bed, it's a message. I have access. I control this space. I can take and return your personal belongings. It's about power, not theft.
It definitely escalated from there, finding like leftover KFC bones tucked among their pot plants in the backyard. Strange women's goth clothing appearing on their washing line clothes that weren't hers. And then her own underwear started going missing from the line. Things would vanish and reappear in just impossible places. Like she'd clean the kitchen table, turn around, and bam, a missing item would be sitting smack dab in the middle of it.
Playing games with their perception of reality. Gaslighting, almost.
But then it got truly dangerous. The narrator has severe hypertension, needs daily medication, critical medication. For 4 years, her pills were repeatedly taken, hidden. Sometimes she'd find them later, in really weird spots. But sometimes, not. Someone was actively messing with her health, her life.
That crosses a serious line. Targeting essential medication isn't just harassment, it's potentially lethal. It shows an intimate knowledge of her routine and a willingness to cause real physical harm, or at least extreme fear about her survival.
Yeah. After 4 years of this torment, they came home one day to a bloody handprint on the bathroom wall.
Oh my God.
She was understandably freaked out, planning to call the landlord immediately. But the next day, before she could, the landlord calls her, out of the blue, offers to change the locks that week.
Suggesting the landlord knew something was wrong, or had suspicions, even other complaints. Or maybe the intruder made themselves known somehow.
It's unclear, but the locks were changed, and things were quiet. For about a year, then it started again. Quietly at first. Then it got physical. Aggressive. She was sitting one night, back to the front wall of the house. Suddenly, a huge bang right on the wall behind her head.
Terrifying.
Followed immediately by heavy thuds hitting along the front wall like someone was running past, punching it as they went. She ran outside but saw nothing. No one. And the weirdness has gone digital now, too. Just recently, her phone auto-filled an address she'd never looked up a computer repair shop 1,000 kilometers away.
Strange.
Days ago, her son's shoes vanished. He's 19, has autism, relies heavily on routine and regulation, so this was a massive disruption for him. At the same time his shoes went missing, her phone opened Google Earth by itself, displaying a remote location in Turkey.
Turkey? When the last location calculated was in Australia.
Exactly. It makes no sense. And then the final little creepy details that show someone is still physically there. Finding a single piece of crystallized ginger placed neatly on top of the closed jar, and finding 2 used cups put back in the cupboard with the lipstick marks that definitely weren't hers.
They're still getting inside, using your things, leaving these small, deliberate signs. It's blurring the lines, isn't it? Digital weirdness happening thousands of kilometers away, alongside physical proof someone was just in your kitchen. It's designed to make them feel completely powerless, constantly watched.
A total relentless violation over years and years. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. 2 much shorter stories now, but they capture that feeling of sudden, acute danger. First, a very brief one called The Spare Key. Simple, chilling. Someone tried to break into the narrator's place late one night. Lights were on, they knew someone was home. But the terrifying part wasn't just the attempt. It was how they tried to get in. They went straight for the spare key.
Okay.
And they knew its hiding place. A very safe spot, the narrator calls it. A place only they used, never told anyone about.
That's not a random burglary attempt. That's stalking. That implies someone watched them use that key, noted the spot. They knew a secret routine.
Precisely. The only reason they didn't get in was because the narrator had double-locked the door from the inside, which stopped the spare key from working. Saved by that habit.
But the knowledge that someone knew, that stays with you. That feeling of being observed so closely.
Absolutely. Our final story for today, a truly frightening late-night encounter. The hospital gown man. This happened in downtown Charleston. Narrator's a 20-year-old guy biking home. It's late, like 3 a.m. He admits he was pretty drunk. The streets are dead quiet, deserted. He sees a shadow move across the street ahead of him. Doesn't think much of it initially. He gets to his apartment building, starts walking his bike up the stairs.
That 3 a.m. isolation really ramps up the tension. You feel incredibly vulnerable.
He hears a hey behind him. He turns and sees this guy. White, bald man, wearing nothing but a hospital gown. And the gown is stained. Looks like blood. The man smells awful, like bodily waste. And his eyes, just described as wide, crazy eyes.
Okay, this is deeply unsettling already.
The man walks right up to him, pulls out a large knife, points it straight at the narrator, and then he says this absolutely horrific, specific, racially charged thing. He swears on my knife that he wanted, well, he used graphic language, saying he wanted head from some black chick.
Jesus. A direct, violent, targeted threat.
The narrator is stuck on the stairs, bike in the way, drunk, facing a man with a knife, making terrifying threats, life or death moment. But somehow he manages to just deflect. He looks at the guy and says, simply, "I don't appreciate you pointing that knife at me."
Wow. Just a calm, direct statement in the face of that.
Yeah, and it worked. The man apparently paused, looked down at his own knife as if surprised by it, then he just laughed, stumbled away, and completely vanished into the night. The narrator waited upstairs for like 15 minutes, knife from his own kitchen in hand, watching. But the man was gone, no trace, just disappeared.
That combination is terrifying. The sudden, specific, violent threat erupting from nowhere, the sheer randomness and malice of it, and then the disappearance. It almost makes it feel unreal, dreamlike, except for the very real fear and the knife. Leaves you questioning everything.
So today we've really seen a spectrum of fear, haven't we? From the calculated, almost procedural setup of the Pink Lady ambush.
Right, the planning involved there.
To the incredibly long-term, intimate psychological violation by the home intruder, using personal items, even health, as weapons.
That slow burn of terror over years.
There, finally, that sudden, sharp, physical danger from the hospital gown man. Out of nowhere.
Yeah, the common element seems to be this deliberate shattering of boundaries. Where you think you're safe, a park trail, your own locked house, even just walking home late at night becomes the very stage for someone else's intentional, elaborate terror.
It really makes you think, what does it mean when someone knows your secret hiding spot for a key? Or when they can, use your coffee cups, interfere with your medication, seemingly at will? How porous is our sense of security, really? We really encourage you to think about these stories. Think about the specific details, the lipstick, the weird autofill address, that pink blazer, the bloody handprint. These are the things that make these more than just incidents. They become sources of real, lasting dread. Thank you for listening to this deep dive into these terrifying true stories. If these accounts gripped you, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs, to follow other horror stories and true crime cases. Goodbye for now.